Hello, my neurosparkly crew. This little short is called Spiky like a star, not spiky like an urchin. So when you first get your diagnosis as having a different sort of a neurotype or whatever you end up with your diagnosis being, whether that's autistic or ADHD or whatever it is, you maybe find yourself being described as having a spiky profile. And when I was first described as having a spiky profile, that made me feel a bit spiky, a little bit like an urchin. Like, this is the reason people don't like me. This is why I push people away. My spikes are very difficult for people to manage. And I think that that's something we need to look at. That some of the terminology we use can seem quite negative. But eventually I did realise that the spikes are true, in as much as if you do think of the big old circle of neurological neurotypes, you've got this kind of autism or ADHD having spikes that go out into those outlying areas, as I've spoken about before. So you do have a spiky profile, but they're little points that make you like a star. And all of those points, they're what make you shiny, they're what make you sparkly, and that's absolutely fine. It's very important to realise that those spikes are not negatives. They're also not superpowers. I kind of wish they were superpowers, and I think they get described as superpowers quite a lot, and we get told quite a lot that we're special. And it's not always a very nice place to be special. We don't really want to be special, and if we're going to have a superpower, I'd rather be able to fly or communicate with animals or turn into an animal that can fly. But what we end up with is actually an awful lot of things like, well, yes, I suppose it is a superpower that I can hear a register that you can't hear, and I see patterns in things that you might not necessarily see patterns in. But let's face it, that's one of the more rubbish superpowers. Even the X-Men aren't having us. So when you think about those spikes that you've got, just remember that those are the things that stick out and make you like a star. And that's why I call you my neurosparkly crew, because we all have our lovely points that stick us out and make us sparkly and make us amazing. And don't let anybody dull your shine, and don't try and shave those points off and dull people down, because those spikes, those spiky bits, those sparkly bits, they're what make us us. And we're all different, and everybody does have spiky bits. And our spiky bits might be a little bit more and a little bit more often, but that still makes us amazing stars. And we'd be a very dull place, and the sky would be very dark if it wasn't full of all of us lovely stars, all our lovely sparkliness. Okay, so never let anybody dull your light or your shine, and you're sparkly like a star.